Hello, I am so excited to be coming on tonight. I hope everyone is having an awesome evening. We are going to be talking about something that I get so many questions about, and that is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. Okay, okay, hi, Leah. All right, so I'm going to be talking about something that I have. It's called PCOS, which stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So this is something that millions and millions of women in the United States and across the world have, and even more are getting diagnosed every single day. So it's becoming more and more common. This is probably the number one thing that I get questions about, that I get asked about from women. And so I have PCOS, and I've had it I've been diagnosed for over 2 decades. So I'm going to share with you a bit about what I've come to learn about what it is, what I've experienced, and what's been helpful with my PCOS. So for starters, PCOS really is a hormonal disorder. And I was diagnosed when I was about 12 years old. And I just remember like my cycles were totally off, like my whole body felt very out of flux. No one really understood what was happening. And so my parents took me to go and see an endocrinologist who ran several different series of tests to try to really figure out what was happening. And that's when we got the diagnosis of PCOS. And when I was 12 years old, I have a very strong recollection of the endocrinologist bending down. I was, a little one at that time. And she looked at me and she said, "You have something called PCOS. It's a hormonal disorder, and you probably won't ever be able to have kids, but I'm sure by the time you want to, technology will be really helpful, and adoption is always a lovely thing to do." I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old. I was like, what is this person saying to me? Okay. So I give that doctor grace. I'm sure she was just trying to be kind and sweet and sensitive, but holy cow, was that out of place. And for the record, if you hear them, or maybe they might make a guest appearance because it is 6 p.m. Eastern time, I have, thank God, 4 children of my own. So she wasn't so on point with her predictions anyway. So women that have PCOS, a lot of women are diagnosed with it because their menstrual cycles are either non-existent or irregular or lasting for weeks, if not months. It basically means that around the ovaries that there are many cysts, and that could be one or two, or it could be what's called the pearl necklace of PCOS, which is if you go to a place where they can do very high tech ultrasound, it literally looks like a strand of pearls around the ovary. It's crazy. I've been able to see it on myself, and like you could see it. So I know, isn't that crazy that someone said that to 12-year-old Donna? Nuts. And that like has stayed with me, obviously. I mean, how could it not, I remember when I was dating my husband, I said to him, I'm like, I don't really know what to do with this information, but I was told by a doctor when I was 12, I might not be able to have kids. He's like, I'm not so worried about it. Don't worry. Thank God. Anyway, so it is easy to diagnose with a very high-tech ultrasound. You can also diagnose it with some pretty sophisticated blood tests. So the best advice I would give you if you think you or someone you know might have PCOS is go to see an excellent endocrinologist, someone that is well versed and experienced with PCOS. Because a typical OBGYN, obstetrician, gynecologist, or just general practitioner probably honestly is not educated on the nuance and all of the recent studies regarding PCOS. And it does go hand in hand with many other things. Like, for example, women with PCOS that are fortunate enough to have children on their own or with some assistance, often they have issues with milk production, for example. Like they have a hard time nursing their babies. And there are several reasons. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. But PCOS basically means that your hormones, which basically govern so much of how our bodies function, are just completely out of whack. They're completely out of whack. And so women with PCOS can experience a wide variety of symptoms, and it could vary so greatly based on the woman and the severity of her PCOS. And some women can have some symptoms that are really intense, and other women can be completely asymptomatic in different ways. So some symptoms could include excessive hair growth in crazy parts of the body, like the proverbial bearded lady that, you know, if anyone saw The Greatest Showman, best movie ever, that woman, like the bearded woman, she probably had PCOS, you know, I know she was a fictitious character, but the character that's based off of. Now, not all women that have PCOS have that, like, thank God, that's not my challenge, TMI. But there are many women that I'm in a lot of PCOS online support groups that literally, I mean, my heart goes out to them. They spend insane amounts of their time and resources to get laser hair removal all over their faces, like, you know, full beard, some of them, because again, hormones are totally out of whack. And so some women with PCOS have higher levels of testosterone, which could cause hair growth. The insulin levels, if you have PCOS, again, I'm not a doctor. In my experience, women with PCOS 9 times out of 10 are considered pre-diabetic, meaning your insulin, which is a very important hormone that your body has, your insulin levels are completely off. And so how your body metabolizes sugars and fats and proteins, it's completely out of whack. So for me, the treatment that I was having for 20 years, the better part of 20 years, from when I was 12 until 32, was I was taking these huge horse pills. I have some right here. I'm going to go grab to show you guys. I have them right here. This is metformin, okay? This is metformin. Look, I brought props. Look at this sucker. This is an example of my metformin pill that I had to take, and I took 2 of these tablets by mouth twice a day. So this metformin tablet is 500 milligrams, and it comes in extended release or just regular release. This is the extended release. I was taking 4 of these puppies every single day just to keep my insulin levels. And I never was considered diabetic, but I had to take 4 of these just to keep my blood sugar stable. That's crazy. I mean, thank God this exists, and thank God my body responded well to it. But something that is so exciting, and I'll say a little bit more about this, is that 1 month into doing program, no more metformin. I could like literally get emotional. No more metformin. This stuff, if you've ever had to take it, my heart goes out to you, because it does such a number, at least on me, on my stomach. And I was taking it for 20 years, like upset stomach and nausea. I mean, so many issues. If I ever skipped, I would be totally out of whack. You know, I had to take this because getting diabetes, that was not in my 5-year plan. And I'm very grateful that this worked, but I was so grateful when 1 month into program, my doctor suggested that we run some blood work, and sure enough. So anyway, so all of these different pieces. So PCOS symptoms could also include a lot of mood and anxiety disorders, because when your hormones are out of whack, that really does a number on your whole physiological state. So a lot of women with PCOS are predisposed to depression and anxiety, mood swings. Again, women with PCOS could have high levels of testosterone, and that could lead to a lot of other mood disorders. Women with PCOS also could get awful cramps, like sometimes related to menstruation, sometimes completely separate from that. It manifests itself in a lot of ways, compromised immune systems. Like, there's a whole gamut of symptoms. Again, I didn't have all those symptoms. And there are even more that I'm not listing. But I will tell you, in my experience, the number one way to address PCOS, and this is never going to cure someone of PCOS. I'm always going to have PCOS, but I am now, thank God, essentially asymptomatic because I've lowered my BMI. The less fat that you have on your body, the less stress it's putting on your whole hormonal system. My hormones that I needed 4 of these bad boy pills to regulate started regulating themselves, which my doctors still can't believe. They literally still can't believe that that's the case. So getting your BMI to a healthy range. And even my doctors want me on the lower end of the scale. I actually had my check-in today with my coach, even though I am so close. I've lost over 90 pounds. Woo! In about 10 months. Yeah. So even though I am about 15 pounds away, 15 to 20 pounds away from my goal weight, I still am checking in with my coach every week. I'm still accountable. So when my coach called me this morning and we were going back and forth and I was sharing some struggles, some successes, the same thing I do with my clients, my coach said to me, like, Donna, what are you chasing? Are you chasing a number on the scale? I said, no, it's what it's always been about, which is health. So my whole team of medical professionals came together with me when I started this health journey, and they said, Donna, we suggest that your BMI is in this range because that clears you of 99% of the issues associated with PCOS. Women with PCOS are at a much greater risk of having diabetes, heart disease, a whole gamut of cancers. I mean, there are so many issues that PCOS could lead to if it's left unmanaged and untreated. And for me, my why has always been that I want to be able to control my health as best as I can. Of course, there are going to be things that are outside of our control and we should all just live and be well. But if I, God forbid, get a call from a doctor one day saying you have X, Y, and Z, and I would have to then live with the knowledge that I could have contributed to that in some way because of my lifestyle choices, I just don't want that. I want to control the little bit in this world that I can, which is what I put into my mouth. And honestly, also what comes out of my mouth, but that's a whole separate issue we'll get into. I'm reading this whole book about living above the line and only using your words for good. Whole other topic, my friends. Anyway, so PCOS, the number one way to curb 99% of your PCOS symptoms is to be in the ideal BMI for your body. And that's a great thing for you to discuss. You could obviously Google BMI charts, but discuss that with your doctors. If you think you have PCOS, if you do have PCOS, I really encourage you to find an amazing endocrinologist that you can really trust and that can guide you, because there are a lot of amazing solutions out there. My endocrinologist is completely floored that I've had the success that I've had, because one of the challenges of having hormones that are totally out of whack due to PCOS is that it's actually harder to lose weight because of the PCOS, even though it's more important to lose weight because of the PCOS. So it's a challenging juxtaposition in that it's so important to lose the weight, but it's more challenging to get to the point where the weight is off. So I just want to encourage you, if you have PCOS, if you know someone who has PCOS, it's not a life sentence. Yes, you might have it for life, but it doesn't have to predict or run your life, and that you can really manage it. I have found a program to be the beyond answer to all of my challenges, and I've tried every diet out there, my Lord. And this has just, between the eating every 2 to 3 hours, keeping my blood sugar so stable, not eating any high glycemic food. I mean, I feel better than I felt on all of the other myriad of things that I've tried before, because this is literally helping my body do what, because of my PCOS, it has a hard time regulating on its own. So I've created the environment and the lifestyle that enables it to be conducive and really go against all of the other challenges and keep things very stable and steady. And so that in and of itself helps me with my energy. It helps me with my sleep. It helps me with everything. So again, if you have PCOS, if you know someone who does, I would just encourage you to share this with them, because it can feel really scary and overwhelming. Like, I spent several years just kind of feeling hopeless, that nothing was going to work, that I was kind of destined to have this. And I'm so grateful that my coach reached out to me time and time again saying, Donna, this will work. Let's give it a shot. And within 2 weeks, really, I was just feeling so much better, and I lost more weight than I ever thought possible. And it's been incredibly consistent. So if someone with PCOS asks, well, I'm sure that works, but it probably won't work for me, send them this video, because not only has it helped me, but I have so many clients with PCOS, and this has yet to fail me or them. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you learned something, and let's celebrate the fact that this is now like a little, memory of what was. And these bad boys are so long expired, but like I want to keep them around because it's such a reminder of what I had to do day in and day out. And now instead my medicine is water. It's water and consistency and good choices. So I hope you had a good night. I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thanks for joining.